Hello, welcome back to CYS 630. I want to take a minute and talk about the CIA triad, the CIA triangle. In information security, there are three fundamental properties at the very basic level that we are trying to do and keep true to keep the security of our companies, of our networks, of our organizations. The CIA triangle is represented on this slide. It is the main goal of information security is to protect the confidentiality, the integrity, and the availability of information. I want to take this time to talk about this because so many of us are so busy fighting adversaries, fighting the bad guys, that we sometimes forget the very basic fundamental pieces of information security. And without remembering that, without keeping that in the forefront of our minds, we're not doing our jobs as information security professionals. So let's talk about this just for a little bit. All right. So those three different pieces. Confidentiality. Confidentiality says that only people with the right permission can access and use information. Not by accident, not without permission. Only the people that are supposed to be getting access to that information get access to that information. We're going to spend a lot of time talking about privacy in this course. A lot of privacy is about keeping information confidential. How are we going to keep your healthcare information confidential? Do you want other people reading about your healthcare information? Probably not. If I remember right, there was a person that worked for a hospital that leaked the healthcare information of a candidate for president, and later it was traced back to them and they were fired because even though they could get access to it, they did not have a need and they did not have the right permission to access that person's healthcare information. It doesn't matter if we can do it. Should we do it? Do we have the right to be doing it? That is an important piece of confidentiality. Second, integrity. We are trying to make sure that the data that we're storing, the data that we're protecting, only changes if we're doing it on purpose, with permission. That changes cannot be made to the data without the appropriate permission. Are we doing that? Can we do that? How does that look? That's an important piece. And frankly, a lot of times we're so focused on these people external, these hackers, these super smart, amazing hackers, that we often forget about the people within our organization. I'm not saying that our employees are adversaries. That's not the case at all. I mean, we love our employees, but often our employees might make a mistake. I know it's hard to believe, but employees could make mistakes and accidentally change things that they don't intend to do. So how do we make sure that doesn't happen? And then finally, availability. We have to ensure that the data is accessible when it needs to be accessible. That people with proper permission can access the information they are authorized to see, do it in a dependable way and in a timely manner. That's our job. Now, that availability piece isn't as glamorous as some of these other pieces, but it's important. It reminds me of a story. Several years ago, I was in a training in Atlanta, and it was a SANS training. And the instructor was talking about websites that had been hacked and kept talking about the FBI website that was defaced a few months before this training happened. And there was a person sitting in the front row, and you could see them being upset and moving around in the chair. And finally, that person started pushing back and arguing that the FBI website did not get defaced. And the instructor actually pulled up a slide, and it had the website, and it was defaced. It clearly was defaced. Everybody could see that it was defaced. And that person sitting in the front row happened to work for the FBI and kept arguing our website was not defaced. Our website cannot be defaced. It's impossible. And the instructor's like, no, everybody can be defaced. He said, no, it's impossible. Our website is on a CD at the time, and it cannot be edited. And again, we saw the screen. What happened in that situation was that the hackers redirected the DNS server to a separate IP address so that it gave the appearance that the website was hacked. Well, now, was the availability compromised in that situation? I would argue yes. No, the data did not get touched. No, the website server did not get touched. But to the rest of the world, that website was not available. So in my mind, in my perspective, yes, that was an availability issue. So we really got to think through this confidentiality, the integrity, the availability. When we're looking at all of these different issues in cybersecurity and in policy and in law that we're going to be looking at, we got to remember the basics as well. We got to keep the confidentiality of our data protected, the integrity of our data protected, and we got to keep our data available to those that are authorized to see it. That's an important piece, and I hope that you take that to heart. Anyway, thank you for joining, and I'll continue to check in on you in cyberspace. Thanks. Bye.